Here's your shot of Neverland. Let's meet our panel. In Santa Maria, CNN correspondent Ted Rowlands. In Neverland, at Neverland, is Brooke Anderson of CNN. In Santa Maria, Jane Velez Mitchell, the correspondent for Celebrity Justice. Michael Cardoza, defense attorney and former Alameda County prosecutor. Craig Smith, the former Santa Barbara County prosecutor and Superior Court commissioner. He knows Tom Sneddon quite well, and he teaches law at Santa Barbara Ventura Colleges of Law. And here in New York, you've already met her, Cynthia McFadden, ABC News senior legal correspondent, co-anchor of Primetime Live, and broke a lot of exclusives during this Jackson case. All right, Ted, were you surprised?
No, because we really didn't know which way this was going. It was an amazing scene inside and outside the courthouse. I was outside when the verdicts were read. The fans, there were hundreds of them, were so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everybody listening to the audio feed from inside the courtroom, and with each not guilty, they would erupt and then quickly get quiet again. Go ahead.
But you weren't surprised, you yourself.
Well, I sat through this entire trial, except a few weeks, and I think that the jury did an excellent job of evaluating the case and mulling it over. And if you listen to the jurors afterwards, they were a conscientious jury, and they did go through it. And you heard Mr. Rodriguez say that they just didn't feel like it was proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
Brooke, were you surprised?
Larry, you know, like Ted said, we did not know what to expect. The fans here, they were gathered as the verdict was read, and as each count was read not guilty, we heard elation and cheers.
I know that, but were you surprised? I'm asking you.
Honestly, you know, I guess I was a little bit surprised that all 10 counts not guilty, but then you never know what these 12 jurors are thinking, and this is what the jury found, and this is what we're going to go with.
Cynthia, you surprised?
Yes, I was surprised, Larry. I'll tell you why. Usually when the state gets to offer evidence like it did in this case, the 1108 evidence, which is really powerful evidence, these past allegations of bad acts, it's very difficult for the defense to prevail. So yeah, I was surprised. I think this was an absolute rejection of the prosecution argument.
Like
claim.
A wipeout, right?
It was a wipeout. And I have to say I was surprised that the prosecution was able to get absolutely not one vote for...
Jane Velez Mitchell, were you surprised?
I was surprised, Larry, because I was sitting in the courtroom, and when the jurors filed in, they looked grim. They looked very serious, and then they did not make eye contact with Michael Jackson, and normally that's not a good sign for the defendant. Michael Jackson, by the way, looked terrified as he walked in, almost as if it was an effort to get to the defendant's chair. But then boom, 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 not guilty across the board, so it was an absolute stunner, and the room was surrounded in sobs. I had sobs behind me, the fans sobbing, Mother Catherine 2 seats in front of me sobbing. Michael Jackson had the tissue going up to his eye, and those on the side who could see him said he was crying. His attorney, one of them, Susan Yu, was sobbing. And then I look over at one of the jurors, who's a mother of 4, and she was sobbing outright. So a lot of tears in that courtroom.
Michael, same question of everybody. Were you surprised?
No, I wasn't. But remember what happened at the beginning of this case, Larry? All the legal pundits were saying not guilty all along. Then as this trial progressed and that prior sexual misconduct came in, the famous 1108 evidence, as that came in, some people started to say, uh-oh, we might get a guilty verdict in this case. And then closing arguments came. I thought Mesereau gave a very, very good closing argument. Ron Zonin, I think he really out-argued him, gave a great closing argument, brought the case even closer. Anything could have happened. I was really expecting either way. Wouldn't have surprised me. Was I surprised? No, but I'll tell you what, the jury did the right thing in this case because they isolated out the accuser's crime in this one. They took the accuser, the accuser's family, looked at that and said didn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, and shoved that 1108 aside.
Craig Smith, what'd you think?
Well, was I surprised? Yes and no. We knew all along that it was a very close case, that it was on the fence. Certainly when the case went to the jury, people thought it could go either way. No one could call it. I really thought there was going to be some kind of split verdict, some type of compromise. I thought at the very least they would find Michael Jackson guilty of one of the lesser included offenses of simply furnishing alcohol, but they didn't even find him guilty of that, so I am surprised.
We'll take a break and come back, and when we come back, Angel Hawansky, a Jackson family spokesman, and Majestic Magnificent, Michael Jackson's friend, confidant, and personal magician, I never had one of those. Will join us. We'll be right back.